urgent preparation in Southern California for critical fire danger we'll get to in a bit. Your local weather in 30 seconds. Coming up, Oscar winner Julianne Moore. You're going to want to stick around for that. Also, your local news and weather, they're coming up next.
Hopefully all 4 of these dogs will be adopted before the end of the show.
I want to squeeze some faces too. Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk about what was happening. We've been dealing with drought for a lot of parts of the East Coast, South and North Carolina tomorrow. So that then moves up, and anybody that had a lot of lake effect snow, especially in northern New York, you end up getting rain on top of that with this mild push, and then the elevated flood risk is for most of New England. And look at those rain totals, 2 to 4 inches in some of those hot pockets. So on top of that, we get a lot of cold air behind it with more lake effect snow, which we'll get to. But let's get a check now a little closer to home.
And things are dry right now, but we'll get rain later today. Temperature.
George, San Diego, California was nearly 80 degrees over the weekend. There were a couple of spots that got close to or hit records in Southern California, but now it's going to be all about the wind. This Four Corners high is placing itself right over Nevada and Utah as it does, sending offshore winds. And in this case, it is going to be a big time wind event. Starting tonight through tomorrow night, those high wind warnings are for 60 to 80 mile per hour gusts. The red flag alerts all the way to the Mexican border, because the fire danger is going to be at that extreme category. So the Santa Monica Mountains, including Santa Clarita, same area where that mountain fire broke out a couple of weeks ago, was so terrible. Same area going to get with that again. And then you see that critical fire danger is all the way through Anaheim, inland, Escondido. The humidity as low as 2%. So please be careful. By Wednesday afternoon, things start to relax. Let's get a check a little closer to home.
And it's dry right now, but we'll see rain later this morning, throughout this afternoon, and high temperatures.
Thousands have been forced to evacuate as Florida's Gulf Coast braces for a direct hit and life-threatening storm surge. We'll go to Ginger in just a moment, but first, Victor O'Ken, timing of the storm. Good morning, Ginger.
I think that's good advice, because we've seen storms, Idalia just last year, like very similar to this storm, so we know what they can do. 10 to 15 feet of surge is just the beginning of the problems, and it goes well beyond Florida. Right now, we've got that thing moving northwest toward hurricane over Georgia by tomorrow morning. That means you're going to have power lines down and trees down all the way up into western South Carolina, North Carolina. But let's talk about the immediate tropical storm warnings for most of the state. Tampa Bay in a hurricane watch, Cedar Key, Crystal River, back to Apalachicola. You're in that hurricane warning. So here's the timing. Look at nearly 70 mile per hour gusts tomorrow night. Then the surge really starts for Tampa Bay, and it's going to be a big problem by Thursday night into Friday morning when that onshore flow comes. The eye wall, 11 p.m. Thursday, 127 mile per hour gust at Horseshoe Beach. This is one of the models. The surge, 10 to 15 feet right there down to Crystal River. Look at Tampa Bay, 4 to 8 feet. And I have to tell you, the most important part here is that it does not stop there. Asheville, North Carolina is going to get a ton of rain today from something else, and we could have landslides as far north as South Carolina and western North Carolina by Friday.
That is important to keep in mind. You're right about that, Ginger. Thank you.
Georgia, Atlanta to Augusta as we go into Friday morning, and then look, it gets stuck. I'll have a lot more coming up on Helene. Your local weather in 30 seconds.
And right now, we'll see cloudy temperatures in the 50s and the 60s. It's 63 in Central Park, 50.
Latest 5G phone.
In southern Appalachia, we're talking up to 15 inches of rain, but it's not just from Helene. There's a separate system that's going to cause a big problem today with these training thunderstorms up against it. Then Helene's going to run right over the same area. So that's why we have one of the highest risks, and very rare to see this, especially with that elevation, could cause landslides. Coming up here, the stars are in Times Square this morning. Niecy Nash Betts telling us about her new mystery show, Grotesquerie. And Joshua Jackson is here as he gets ready to sail and set sail on Dr. Odyssey. Your local news and weather next. Important ingredient for the storm, as so many are preparing in Florida. The storm surge can go well outside the center of the storm. So somewhere like Anna Maria Island, preparing with a storm surge warning that goes all the way down to Naples with 3 to 5 feet possible there. But Venice or Sarasota, Bradenton, all the way up along Clearwater, watch for this, because inundation around Tampa Bay could be up to 6 feet. Let's get a check now a little closer to home.
And right now we're in the 50s and the 60s. It's 63 in Central.
Well, then I call next time. All right, we'll do that. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and check in on the big news about the upcoming Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Yes, you're hearing it first on GMA. Dr. Dre, Demi Lovato, Dua Lipa, Jelly Roll, and Keith Urban will be presenting or performing on that special night. Also, there will be a star-studded tribute to the late Jimmy Buffett, with James Taylor, Mac McAnally, Kenny Chesney, and so many more taking the stage. You can stream the ceremony live on Saturday, October 19th on Disney+. It should be a really good show. Let's go ahead and get a check a little closer to home.
And we have mostly cloudy skies, current numbers in the 50s and the 60s across the